Bills fans, I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a white lie. I'm not going to tell you a partial lie. The truth is, this was likely the worst season y'all will have in the last 5 years.
Shut up the Bills! It's not house bag! It's not house bag! Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Homie, now listen. Everyone play their position. Buffalo got a tradition. They say we tripping. They better get out our way. Top of the table, we flipping. We on a mission. Got an unstoppable team. Continue to follow your dream by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Mafia up in your city, time to get gritty. Screaming and yelling, we bugging. Look at the red and blue.
This is an MVP year for Josh Allen. As an MVP voter, I said this last week. Josh Allen, he looks like an MVP. When you vote for MVP, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm one of 50 voters, you look at a couple things. Who's the best team in football? Who's the best player on that team in football? What do they look like as the best player on that team in football? And how much talent is around that best player on that best team in football?
Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast. I'm your host, Whittle 2K. I'm gonna be solo tonight. Um, my co-host Beane is got some personal stuff going on, so I'm gonna hold it down for him, just like he did for me last week. I'm just not gonna have a co-host like he did last week. I'm not gonna say he was cheating, but he had a co-host last week. But shout out to Beane, shout out to student, shout out to everybody that tapped in last week. Uh, unable to uh I wasn't able to be on last week for some stuff going on here. But Twitter is experiencing issues with live posts. You can't find your live and extra name. Yo, it's always something up with this app, I swear, man. But whatever. We move forward. Today, first and foremost, we are going to um start the pod off with um expressing our condolences to the family of Rondale Moore. And by the family, I mean like his teammates, his friends, anybody that loved him. Um, Rondale Moore is no longer with us. Uh, I don't want to speak on what happened or how anything happened because I don't know. But I know that he's gone way too soon. Young man was 25. Um, can't imagine what his family is going through. 25 years old, I mean, this young man's playing in the NFL, realizing the dream. At 25, not gonna speak about everything I was doing, but at 25, I was in the military. I was, enjoying my younger years. I was enjoying my younger year. Um, but condolences to him and condolences to his family, and you know, prayers of comfort go out to him and those he left behind. Minnesota Vikings, their fans, and their organization's teammates, his college teammates. Anybody that knew Rondell or was touched by his life, and it's just sad to see somebody go so soon. We're losing a lot of young people. As a parent, I can't imagine what it's like to bury a child. I had to bury my dad, um, and my mom and I have a great relationship. My father and I had a good relationship as well. So I can only imagine. I remember getting ready to deploy, and this was like around 9/11. So aging myself a bit, but I just remember the sheer look of terror on my mother's face as I was packing my military stuff up, getting ready to potentially deploy, and she, looked like, oh my God, this is the last one, So I can only imagine what it's like to actually know it's fine. Uh, so prayers up to to his family and his friends and his teammates and anyone that was touched by Rondale Moore. 25 is too young, too young. And life is short, man. Love on those who love you. Um, it's never too early or late to say how you feel about your loved ones. So, but I don't want to continue to dwell on that. Uh, we'll continue to pray and send love and good vibes that way. Um, but as we'll move forward. This week, Brandon Beane, um, Brandon Beane spoke with the media. Coach Brady spoke with the media as well. Uh, and I just wanted to speak a little bit about that. They gave out some nuggets about what some things that they have done. I think they gave out a few nuggets of things that they were planning on doing. And it was great to see them come out and talk. This is a down time for the football season. It's the off season. It's a lot of wait and see. Waiting for free agency to start, waiting for the trades to get going, waiting for the new league year. There's a lot of things that should be happening. There's a lot of speculation going on. So it's kind of good to get the leadership of the organization to step out there. Not Terry Pagula, but the camera ready folks. They got out there and they were able to they spoke to the media and in advance of the combine and on some of the days of the combine while they're conducting or on days that they're conducting prospect interviews and things like that. So Brandon Beane was the first one. But before we get into the Brandon Beane interview, we'll talk about the combine date. So Thursday, the athletic testing. I mean, the combine's already started. They're doing, like I said, they're doing playoff interviews and things. I mean, playoff prospect interviews. Yes, Nelson, this is about the Buffalo Bills. Yes, this is about the Buffalo Bills. This is a Bills podcast. Bills on the hat. Bills in the background. Um, yeah, so this is a Buffalo Bills podcast. Let me make sure. Okay, all right, good. Um, yeah, so everything's in order with the pod. I thought the camera wasn't working or whatever, but um, yeah, so it was good to see them get out there and speak to the media ahead of the combine. And so for the dates of the combine, for those of us that will be paying attention to the athletic testing, that starts tomorrow at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. It'll be defensive linemen and linebackers. So yeah, Buffalo Bills fans. Um, I know half the fan base is on the wide receiver train, but for those of us who care about the defense and want this defense to get on track, you need to be paying attention on Thursday. Thursday is going to probably separate some guys. It's going to kind of give you a better feel of where uh, some of the guys that we've been talking about or that some of you guys have been paying attention to. Because I will give the Bills Mafia fan base this much. Uh, as I peruse social media, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, uh, Twitter, all these different things. Bills fans are locked in on the draft. Like this year, I see it's noticeable. It's more noticeable than it has been, and I think that speaks to the expectations we have. Right, this team has been in the playoffs every single year since 2019. Hasn't missed the playoffs. Can't say the same about some of our rivals, but we've been in the playoffs every single year. Uh, whether it's been AFC Championship game or the divisional round, most of the time it's Chiefs. Most of the time, it's who we're playing against. I mean, we played them guys so much. It feels like the Chiefs are a divisional opponent at this point, but we've been in the playoffs year in and year out. Just have not been able to crack that glass ceiling of the AFC Championship. So I do believe that the Bills fans have looked at this year, this upcoming year, and put an expectation on the franchise. And when I say the franchise, I mean Brandon Beane, I mean Joe Brady, I mean Josh Allen, and I think that there's some veterans that are on this team that Bills fans are like, yo, this is the year to get it done, or you got to go. Taron Johnson, come to the front of the stage. Deion Dawkins, come to the front of the stage. Uh, Matt Milano, come to the front of the stage. Ed Oliver, Terrell Bernard. Like, we need to see some of you guys that this franchise is invested in. We need to see that pay dividends now. Uh, we've been right there too many times. And it's time to either, you know, drop the deuce or get off the pot, man. Like enough is enough. Going into a new stadium. Um, a lot of Bills fans say that the high mark or the Ralph was cursed, it's built on and burial ground and all these different things. All right, well, it's a new stadium now. It's across the street. Uh, the bad vibes should be out of here now. Let's get it done, okay? Like, and I think the other thing is with Bills and Mafia, I think we looked at the this year and said, yo, well, this past season and say, yo, no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Ravens. The Chargers were down. Like Eagles got bounced in the first round. Bro, like, what's up? Like, like what's going on? Like, this was probably the year that if there was ever a year to like really kind of hit cruise control and just play decent football on both sides and get to the Super Bowl, it was this past season, 2025. We played decent football. Uh, not great football, but decent football in the playoffs on both sides of the football on both sides of the ball. I think we, easily get to the Super Bowl. And at that point, you would have needed to play a very good game against an excellent, excellent defense and a very, very potent and explosive offense with the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. I like to think as a Bills fan, and maybe we would have uh, been there, and the result would have been different. But listen, almost only counts in horseshoes and grenades, and it's football. The results are final when the clock hits triple zeros, and we lost. So, but I think Bills fans are on top. So first and foremost, boom, combine dates. Thursday, defensive line and linebackers. 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can catch on the NFL Network. It should be streamed live there. I don't know if there are. I'm sure there are other places to catch it, but if you have the NFL app, you can watch it there. I'm not sure if you need NFL Plus. You might. If you have the NFL channel on your on your television or laptop, you can catch it there. I'm sure Everybody and their mama gonna be tweeting about it in NFL Twitter, Instagram. I'm sure you'll see videos, TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, man, like definitely tune in. Why should we be tuning in? As Bills fans, if you aren't a Bills fan or you are and you haven't been tuning in, you're trying to figure out why we should be tuning in. Because the Bills defense gives up north of 30, I think it's like 34, 35 points a game in playoff losses. Uh, Defensive line, linebackers, very key to this team because I think the secondary is in very good shape. Um, Even with some of the I don't think we had great seasons out of the slot position or out of the safety group. But outside of that, yeah, defensive line and linebackers, you should be paying attention to defensive line because the last defensive lineman we had get a sack, I believe, in the playoffs was Ed Oliver, or it might have been Gregory Rousseau. Uh, but like prior to, that guy, the last quarterback sack we got from defensive line, which I think was this year, we hadn't gotten one since like 2021 with Jerry Hughes. So yeah, listen. Don't hold me to any of this because I'm like spitballing right now. I have not had an opportunity to confirm these things. Just kind of spitballing right now, but that's why you need to be paying attention. The linebackers are old. Matt Milano is getting up there. You saw the age kind of hit him this year. Uh, if they bring back Shaq Thompson, he's old and often injured. Dorian Williams is going into his last year of his contract. We just signed, I mean, Terrell Bernard got extended this past offseason, but he didn't have a great year. He was hurt all year. He's been hurt a lot. Joe Andreessen's still on the roster, but outside of that, man, it's kind of thin, man. I mean, we brought back Jimmy Charlo on like a futures deal. I believe Keontae Jenkins was another guy, but I'm not sure. I'm not positive that Keontae was also brought back, but I know for sure Jimmy Charlo was. Um, so that's why you should be paying attention to those guys. Now, Friday is DBs and tight ends. I do believe that we need some help at DB. We do need another corner, boundary guy. Not sure if Dorian Strong's ever going to play football again. He had that neck, I think he had like a neck fusion surgery that I mean, for all intents, like as far as what I know, what is generally out there from Dorian Strong was that the si- the s- the surgery was a success, and now it's just about healing, getting better, and proving to uh the physical the training staff in Buffalo that he's fit for football, fit for NFL football again. If he is, then he'll be back playing, and that's great because I thought the little sample size that we did get of him this year, his rookie year, was really good. Like I thought he was really good against the Ravens. I thought he filled in admirably, and Christian Benford's one of the best corners in the NFL. I think he's a top 5 to 7 guy. Uh, yeah, comeback going to be crazy. Listen, I'm for it, man, because I think if we have a nucleus of boundary corners that include Christian Benford, Maxwell Harrison, and uh, Dorian Strong, I think that's a great nucleus to have. I mean, I'm very very confident there. Hopefully, they figure out a way to bring Trey White back. I thought Trey White had a good year last year. I was very skeptical of what he was going to be able to do, and Trey White's might be my favorite Bill of this modern era. Uh, but I thought Trey had a very good year. He got strong. You could tell he got better and more comfortable with his body over the course of the season. But DBs and tight ends on Friday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Um, DBs does include free safeties and strong safeties. That's a position that we do need. We do need to get younger at slot corner, even though I do think that Jordan Hancock may end up playing there in some capacity. Maybe he ends up being the Cam Lewis replacement. Cam Lewis is a free agent. Sure, we're going to get him back. He's played well for us. undrafted guy to UB. So yeah, we will be paying close attention on. I will be paying close attention on um, Thursday and Friday to the combine. Mhm. Saturday it's quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. Uh, I don't think we don't need a quarterback. Obviously, like we have Josh Allen, and maybe they do get a backup. Maybe they do like go after like a rookie backup and see if there's a guy that they like that they can get late. We have 2 7th-round picks. Maybe they grab a guy. No, Riley Leonard was taken late in the draft. He played well for the Colts last year. I would like them to go out and get a guy that they feel like they can bring in and develop and can come in and play quality snaps. You know, in case you know, Josh gets his nose broken again and has to step out of the game for a little bit, or Josh ends up in a blue tent for whatever reason. He did that a few times this year. Um, the man's a trooper. He's a soldier, the winter soldier. He's our winter soldier. He's our Bucky. He's our Sergeant Bucky Brooks. 100%. The man's played through a broken hand. He's played through a sprained UCL, which is a tear of the ligament in the elbow. Um, he's played through just he hasn't missed a start since his rookie year. So I mean, the guy plays through all types of injuries. I'm like a competent backup. Not saying that Mitch Trubisky wasn't. I think Mitch was a very competent backup, but I'd like to have a guy that, you know, if Josh were to go down, we're comfortable and confident. And, at the point that we're at with the cap, we need to be very, very frugal with where we spend um, cap dollars. So if you can get a guy that's cost control for 4 years, man, I mean, let's do it. Like, let's just get a guy and do it. Wow. Wide receivers is going to be big. There's a few names that are flying around. Listen, guys, don't be fooled by the Omar Cooper hype. I'm not saying he's not a good receiver. I think he is a good receiver. I just don't think that he's the first round receiver. I like Omar Cooper. I don't like him in the first round. Denzel Boston, if certain other positions aren't there, I think Denzel Boston's the first round pick. Uh, I think he's who everybody thought Keon was going to be. Uh, I like Denzel Boston a lot, like a lot. And I'm not big on take going after receiver because I don't think that offense is the reason uh, is the biggest need. But if some of those defensive guys that are first round talents are not there, I wouldn't hate a Denzel Boston. Other guys, Casey Concepcion. I like Casey Concepcion early on, but I kind of cooled him a little bit because of the size. Like he's kind of small, but I took a look at his route tree, man. The guy runs every route. Like he's got a complete route tree. He is capable of winning on the boundary. I kind of got cooked by one of the guys in Do Champions. Um, Shout out to Alex and those guys, man. On KC Concepcion, I had some bad information. And, I stuck my neck out there. And, I got slapped in the back of it, man. Shout out to them, man. Listen, iron sharpens iron. If you can't admit you're wrong, there's a problem. And when new information presents itself, you should accept it, especially if it's factual. And that should change the way you make a decision. So that's how I move. I had bad information, the right information was put in front of me, I have to change my stance. I'm about to go back and look at some KC Concepcion stuff. Because Casey, like early on, I saw him and I was like, yeah, this is wide receiver one, bro. Like this is the one, not wide receiver one. Jordan Tyson is my wide receiver one, but I like KC Concepcion a lot. A lot. So yeah. Concepcion was my guy early. He's also from the area. He's also from the Buffalo area. I think he's from like Rochester or something like that. So come on, man. Like you bring this guy in, that's like a fan favorite. I also think it's a good I also think it's good to add a guy with that type of skill set. And I'm really getting like off my schedule. Guys, I have a little schedule here too. I'm trying to stick to it because, you know, very professional. But listen, I'm sorry I'm talking about the draft now. y'all know how I get. If you've been paying attention, you know how I get about the draft. But um, we'll get into that. I'm not gonna keep going down this detour. But yeah, I'm high on Casey Concepcion. There's some other guys too later on in the draft that we'll talk about. Skylar Bell, your Ted Hurts, your there's another one. Brennan Thompson from I think it's Mississippi State. Yeah, listen, Brennan Thompson. I'm paying attention to that dude too. Yo, y'all gotta make sure y'all tune in on Saturday for the wide receiver 40s. I'm telling you, Brennan Thompson. I think Chris Brazell made 6'5" receiver out of 6'4" receiver out of Tennessee. Um, I think them guys are gonna go out there and put on a show, man. I'm looking forward to that. I'm a little sick, low key, that Chris Bell is not able to participate, and Jordan Tyson is not. I'm not sure. Like I saw different reports. I saw that Jordan Tyson will do some athletic testing. Then I saw that he won't. So let me confirm that, and I'll get back to y'all. I'm probably gonna do some like little live little snippets or whatever. I'll put them out on YouTube and Twitter and TikTok and stuff like that. I'll do some stuff during the week because I am now really like getting into the film stuff like that. So, but yeah. Anyway, Saturday is wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. That's gonna be a great day if you really like the athletic testing, the 40 times and all other stuff. The wide receivers and running backs usually put on a show, and they do things that that have you on the edge of your seat. And then the quarterbacks get out there and they run too, and like a lot of times they look really silly running. Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes come to mind immediately. Josh was running like it was his form was so terrible. It was hilarious. It's still hilarious to this day. If I was Josh's teammate, I would make sure he never forgets about his combine 40 and the way he looked, because he looked absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, Saturday is quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. That's usually a very long day. And then Sunday is the offensive lineman. And I think like kickers and punters, if they are going to be, I don't know if there are any that were invited, but I think those guys are going to be uh, on Sunday as well. And, if you want to see a kicker run the 40, all right, cool. But that's offensive linemen are going to be doing a thing on Sunday. And real quick offensive line story. I loved Andrew Voorhees coming out of USC a couple years ago. Wanted the Bills to take him. I'm like, yo, we might want to take this dude in the second round, second and third round. Let's get him early. And then he tore his ACL during the testing, you know, and that dropped him all the way down. I want to say the sixth round, but he stayed even with the ACL tear, like that. I guess like taped up or casted, got the cast on or whatever. He did the bench. I think he put up like 40 something reps, 30 something reps, whatever it was. But shout out to him, like that was a big deal. All right, let's get back on track because that was a mean tangent that I just went off on, and nobody stopped. I don't have a goal, so there's nobody here to reel me in. Just shoot from the hip, guys. No, I'm not. I got to. All right, so Brandon Beane, he spoke, and I think Brandon Beane is a master at like answering questions without answering questions. Like he does a very good job of being very coy and extremely I don't want to say evasive because it feels like that's a negative term, but I think he's very calculated in how he answers the questions, right? So, they were asking him, they asked him a question about Keon. Go, oh, well, what do you need to see out of Keon this year? And he says, well, number one, we need to see Keon have an off season like he did last year. Come back and you could tell he was putting the work in, and just don't let the off the field stuff hinder your on the field stuff. And I feel like that's kind of saying like, all right, we're gonna move. I don't know. I feel like they're gonna move him as soon as they can, um, as soon as it makes sense. I don't know. I'll be able to tell. I'll depending on what happens in free agency and the draft. That'll let me know. Me personally, um, it'll influence my opinion on what is going to happen with Keon Cole. And just so you know, if this is your first time here, this is a pro Keon Coleman uh, pod because I am a pro Keon Coleman Bills fan. I was very, very high on Keon Coleman. Willed him to the Buffalo Bills. I'd like to think I willed him to the Buffalo Bills. Some of y'all can hate me for that. That's fine. I think he's going to have a really good year. In fact, I need him to have a very good season this year. I mean, like 50 receptions, north of 700 yards, and like 7 touchdowns. I need that because a podcaster, not a Bills pot, not a Bills, a content creator, not a Bills content creator, but just a content creator. Um, said I'm I'll bet my channel that Keon Coleman never lives up to the second round hype. Okay, no problem. So Keon, please prove me right so I can make this dude give up his channel. And not because I want him to like it's not because I just want to like, I'm hating on the guy or I want to screw the guy up, but I find it very off-putting when you are not a fan of a team and try to lecture fans of the team on what's best for their team. I hate that. I get it. There are some fans who don't know the difference between the tight end and the defensive end. I get that. There's some fans that love the team because they grew up room for the team. It's a family thing, and they go to games, they drink beer, and when we win, they cheer. When they don't, they say everybody sucks and fire the coach. Got it. I understand that there's some fans that, but some of us really we really dig into this. Like we really get into it. We read. You know what I'm saying? Like it's 2026, guys, and we're reading, not not watching videos about this stuff. Like we're reading about this team. We're reading the articles about this team. We're reading the reports. We're following, what's happening with the team on a day on a weekly basis, day to day, whatever's available. We are consuming um, all the information we can about this franchise. So when people try to lecture us that do that pour in that type of effort and being knowledgeable about the team, when you try to lecture us, I just find it off putting. I wouldn't do that I wouldn't do that to another fan base. But that's just me. And I'm not gonna hold everybody to my stand. But back to Beane. Very, very, very uh good at answering questions without really answering questions. I think he made mention he made he talked about like visiting Georgia and how visiting Georgia is like one of the best visits, and he loves going down there, and they treat the scouts really good, and all of these things. Da, 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 da. And I was listening to that, and I'm like, why are you spending so much time talking about Georgia, Brand? Okay, because you're not drafting anybody there. You're not really considering anybody from Georgia. I get it, and if that's just my opinion based on how coy I think Brandon Beane can be at times. So I don't think that Georgia's a major is a major focus this year. Uh, could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think Brandon Beane sometimes uses the media or opportunities to speak to the media as a way to throw people off. So yeah, um, I don't think Georgia's really a big deal this year for us, and that's probably going to be upsetting to some people who like Deion Branch and uh, the corner Everett. I like Everett too. I think Everett would be a nice pickup. I just don't think that we'll have an opportunity to get him. I think he'll go on day 2 at some point, second or third round. And Branch is like, I just think Branch is like a gadget guy. Like, I looked at his route tree, man. Like half his routes are screened. So I just don't. As much complaining as Bills Mafia did about screen routes, I don't think we're in the market for one of those guys. So I'm just saying I don't think George is really gonna be that big of a deal. So, but then they continued. So Brandon Beane continued to field questions. He was asked. I thought this was a really good question, and um, I also thought Brandon Beane handled it well, even though I wasn't satisfied with the answer. A reporter asked him, he said, Brandon, you've had about a month or so to mull it over and kind of process things. Why do you think you got promoted and McDermott was fired? When I heard that question, I was like, whoa, okay. Is that Mookie? I was looking at, I was trying to see but it wasn't Mookie. Shout out to Mookie Hawkins. Um, but I thought that was a really interesting question. And Brandon Beane says, well, he said, listen, that's a question for Terry Pagula. He's like, we're not concerned with, dwelling on the past, we're moving forward. It's a great answer. I thought that was a great answer. It wasn't the answer I was looking for, but it was a great answer. Shout out to Brandon Beane for that. I was like super political, bro. He got that off. But then he talked about so then they talked about some other questions came up about the roster and potentially trading guys, potentially who we're looking for to draft, and thought that this was a very good answer as well. He said, we're sitting down with the staff and figuring out, what direction we're going to go. Ultimately, we want good football players. He said there are some guys that are in the system that worked well in the defensive scheme that we were in, but can also do things that we need in the new defensive scheme. So I do think that for reasons not just because of um, these players malleability to or being malleable to not just a even front but an odd front as well. I think obviously we don't have a ton of picks. I think we have 7 total picks, and I don't believe we have a 6th round pick. I think we have 2 sevenths and like a 5th or whatever. So, um, yeah, we don't have a ton of draft picks, and we also don't have a ton of money in free agency. So, like, we're going to have to figure it out with basically, a lot of the similar pieces from last year. Of course, we'll add some. I think we're gonna let some of the guys that um, contracts are up. I think some of those guys are just gonna walk. And if they get signed, that's great. Like I do think Cam Lewis will garner a contract somewhere else, and I'm hoping it's enough to give us at least like a 5th or a 6th round compensatory pick next year. Um, Other guys that potentially may get scooped up, AJ Epinesa. I would love to see us bring AJ Epinesa back. I don't know that we will be able to or that we will want to now based on, the scheme change. But if he gets picked up, like AJ Epinesa is a pretty good rotational defensive end, he's gonna probably, get signed to a deal that's gonna bring us a 4th or a 5th back for sure. I think Curtis Samuel's out of here. Uh, Dawson Knox is probably going to be released. Taylor Rapp is probably going to be released. I hope they bring Dawson Knox back. Um, I'm indifferent with Rapp and Samuel. But both those guys will probably get signed. I think Rapp, I don't know what Rapp's market will be, but I thought Rapp played well for us in in 24. 25, not so great of a start, but I mean, he missed most of the season due to injury. So maybe he's able to latch on somewhere on, a safety depth or a team that, needs a safety, a veteran to come in and maybe play next to a young rookie. Maybe he gets a contract and we get a comp pick out of that. I think if Dawson Knox is gone, we will get a comp pick from him. Dawson Knox is a good football player, really good tight end. I like Dawson Knox a lot. Never saw the need to draft Kincaid, but when you look at the offensive numbers with Kincaid in the lineup, I think you know the uh, the reason to have Kincaid on the roster makes a ton of sense. The offense is better when Kincaid is on the field. It's that's it's not even up for debate. Like we score more points, we're more efficient, we move the ball better. Josh's completion percentage goes up tremendously when he's there. He's just when he's on the field, the offense is better. So cool. The two interior offensive line that are going to be free agents, Connor McGovern and David Edwards. Their market value is through the roof. There's no way we're going to get both back. It's not happening. I don't know that we get either one back. I do think Alec Anderson and Cedric Van Prank Granger were signed and drafted for a reason. This is the reason. If those guys price themselves out, we do have guys that are in the system to step right in. So that's where I think if we lose either one of those guys or both of those guys, we're definitely getting comp picks, 100%. Probably third or fourth round picks at minimum for either one of those guys. And then you have guys that can step right in, right? So if that's what happens, I'm confident in where that goes. And Brandon Beane was talking about that. He was asked a question about the interior offensive line. Said, I think the question was, what do you need? What needs to happen in order to bring either one or both of those guys back? And Beane straight up said, man, I need some money, man. And that was met with laughter, but it's the reality. That is real. That's a real, issue here. They restructured Spencer Brown, and that saved them like $10 million against the cap. But I mean, we still got work to do. Like, should I do Josh's contract soon? That's only going to get us 12. There's other guys that you can restructure. Maybe they do something with Knox where, they sign and extend. Maybe they do the same thing with Osiris Torrance to free up some money. I don't know. There are a bunch of areas they can go to. But, then that'll also tell you a little bit of how they feel about some of these players. Like, if they don't restructure Deion Dawkins, they're probably telling you that they don't see Deion as a long-term player at this point of his career. Same thing with Ed Oliver. They don't restructure or do something with Ed right now. To me, that says Ed's not part of the future. That's what it says. So I think that would be silly because Ed is probably the most odd front ready player on the defense. I think he is completely. But if they don't do anything with him, then it's whatever. Like they are moving on without him. And I think we're a worse. I think we're a worse team because of him. That's just my opinion. I like Ed Oliver. I think Ed Oliver is a heck of a player. What else? That was kind of it with Beane. I mean, Beane, doesn't give you a ton. But he said he's excited about going into the new building and the expectations. He understands what the expectations are because at the end of the day, if this year doesn't work, if we regress, if he continues to fail to put a team on the field is capable of getting to the Super Bowl for whatever reason, injury or what, whatever. He's probably going to be fired, if not this year, next year. So, Joe Brady. Joe Brady did speak with the media as well. And I'm going to wait and see with him. 100%, man. He was talking about Khalil Shakir and how, Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir, like, we've got to find better ways, smarter ways, and I think that there are better ways that we can use these guys. Well, you said that last year, and I mean, you didn't use these guys different. It was more the same. So I need to see different. I'm tired of just hearing about it. I need to see different now. And if we don't see different, don't mind that noise, guys. Those are the groceries being brought in right now. Yeah, I need to see different. So I want to wait and see program with Joe Brady. Now Brady did talk a little bit about his staff and you know some of the additions that he made. He brought in John Fox, who coached in 2 Super Bowls. Uh, and I like the reason. I wasn't big on Brady as the coach or being hired as the coach, but I can't lie, man. Like he is answering these questions really, really well. Like they're saying, like, well, why would you bring in John Fox? Oh, well, I wanted to have I wanted to have a coach or somebody there that that I could lean on that's been there before. And I know he's talking about like he's not just talking about head coach. He's talking about Super Bowl. John Fox lost Super Bowls. He's talking about that. He's talking about bringing in a guy that got to the game. I love that. I love that. And that is really different than what we had before with Sean McDermott because McDermott kind of clashed with the more seasoned coaches that he brought in and ended up going with young and experienced guys that, you know, when the rubber met the road, some of them failed to meet the mark. But Bill Brady, thankfully, was not one of those. He did a very good job of that. He also talked about the new wide receivers coach that he brought in. His name is escaping me right now. I'm just telling you, I'm not looking it up. It's almost 10 o'clock, and I'm gonna get I'm gonna get about your hair. Um, so he talked about the coach, the wide receiver coach. He said, this guy wanted to be the quarterbacks coach, but I needed him in a different role. So said he called me. He said, "Listen, man, I can't make you that, but I just want you on the staff." And I do think that there's some value in having a quarterbacks coach coaching the wide receivers or a quarterback, a coach who has the mindset of a quarterback coach, also coaching the wide receivers because there's certain places that the quarterback needs his receivers to be that may not necessarily show up or be um, completely defined in the play design. Right? There's nuance to defense. Sometimes, there's some linebackers who are going to get you tell them that listen, you need a 7-step drop in your zone in your zone, and they're going to give you 7 step. There's others who understand that I'm playing up against a mesh heavy team. I know it says 7 yards, but 7 yards is only going to get me a tackle. 5 yards, I'm getting a pass breakup, potentially an interception. So it's nuance, and I think you need to have wide receivers who are cognizant of what not only what the play design is, but also what's happening in front of them. My quarterback needs me at 7 yards, but if 7 yards is not available, I got to get to 4 yards, so I'm available for my quarterback. Or if 4 yards is 7 yards is where you need me, and the defender's sitting at 5, I need to get to 12 because I need to give you a window to put the ball, you know, to get me the football. So I mean, things like that. I think those are little nuance things that um, could work out in our behalf. A lot of talk about Jim Leonard as well. Jim Leonard, and I did like this about him. He says, we're having meetings, and both Beane and Brady said this together. Well, not together, but um, they both said basically the same thing. In their meetings, uh, they're talking with what's the guy's name? Now I can't remember. Um, Coach Leonard. They're talking with Coach Leonard, and Coach Leonard's telling him, "Hey, listen, man. Just because this is what the scheme calls for doesn't necessarily mean that we can't use the guys we have. They may not necessarily be one-to-one fits, but we can do things to make sure that we're still being effective with the guys that we have. And he also echoed the sentiment of we just want good football players. So um, we're not going to go out and get guys just because they fit. We're going to get guys that are good football players as well. So I think it's better to have a system that fits the good football players versus the players that fit the system. And I think we just came out of staff where or a regime where we just got players that fit the system. Not necessarily the best football players, but just guys that fit the system. Like there's a corner who played for this team last year. I'm not going to say his name, but I don't think he's a very good football player. But he understood the system. He fit the system, but I don't think he was a very good football player. And yeah, he's part of the problem. He was part of the reason we lost. But I'm not going to say any names. I'm wishing him the best in another uniform. I'm not saying any names. Listen, man. What's that? How's that thing go? We listen and we don't judge. Not judging. Not judging. Not judging. Listen, I'm listening. I'm not judging. Watching. I'm not judging. It's what it is, man. We're here. So I Brady's starting to warm up. Like I'm starting to warm up towards Brady being the head coach. Uh, the question was brought up too, like, how well, Josh Allen, responded great when he was coached hard. You know, is there anybody that's going to coach? How's that going to work? Well, you know, Dayball coached him hard, man, and you know, I need that from Brady. Some of the things that I've heard a lot of Bills fans complain about is that every time a negative play happens on offense, or it feels like every time a bad play, every time the quarterback made a bad play, or a drive didn't work the way that we wanted, they would pan over to Josh, and you'd see 17 just sitting there by himself, nobody talking to him. All these that can't continue to happen. I don't know that it will continue to happen. Brady will be on the sideline. I think Jim Litter's going to be on the sideline as well. So we're going to get some on the spot correction. I love that. I'm military, retired military. I love on the spot correction. Don't give me a chance to, don't let it keep happening. If it's a problem, let's deal with it right then and there. We listen and we don't judge. Exactly. Yes. We listen and we don't judge. Well, this is football, so we're watching and we're not judging. We're just offering our opinion. We are not judging. I don't think that we had great football players last year on the defensive side of the ball. We had some system guys, but they weren't great football players. But that's another conversation. Um, so yeah, Jim Leonard, I loved his interview, his introductory interview. Can't wait to see this guy out of St. John Fisher. Um, can't wait to see what he does with his defense. And I'm looking forward to seeing how to change. What changes are made. This is going to be for me. I don't know how the rest of the Bills fans feel, but for me, this is going to be a bittersweet offseason because I do know that some of the players, especially on the defense side of the football, that I have grown very fond of, will not be coming back. Whether it's AJ Epinesa, Matt Milano, Trey White, um, you know, who else? I like Shaq Thompson. I like DeMar Hamlin. I don't think all of those guys are coming back. I don't think so. So we'll see. Cam Lewis is another guy. I don't know that all those guys are coming back. If they do, if they figure out a way to bring some of those guys back, that's going to be great. But I do understand that I'm going to have to accept the fact that some of these guys are no longer going to be here, and that's fine. I am a Bills fan. I'm not a Josh Allen fan. Not a James Cook fan. Not a you know Ed Oliver or Rousseau fan. No, I'm not going to pick up and follow those guys when they get traded or moved to another team. I loved Tremaine Edmonds when he was here. Um, but when he became a Bear, he was no longer on my team. That's it. It's a wrap. Now, Ron Miller's out. They talking about he might be available. No, I wouldn't mind Tremaine coming back, using him on the edge as like 3-4 outside linebacker, send him after the quarterback, things like that. I would not mind that at all. But that's we'll see. Um, what else? Yeah, that's just about it, man. I mean, I was kind of impressed with some of the ways that some of the answers that a lot of the answers really that Joe Brady had. But again, I'm on wait and see mode with him because I didn't like the offense last year. Like I do think that obviously him being the head coach, he's going to have freedom to kind of do what he wants, and that's going to tell us a lot. Like this season is going to open the eyes of the Bills fans because if they go out and they start hitting on these defensive linemen, like they bring in some dogs, that's going to tell you Sean McDermott had way too much input on who we were picking. If the offense opens up and they're throwing the football downfield a little more, there's more verticality in the offense. That's going to tell you something about Sean McDermott really having his hands in the offense, and he shouldn't. And I thought that was another thing. Joe Brady, they were talking about, oh well, when the combine interviews, you know, are you, how does it feel? Like, how are you approaching it? Because you used to be the coordinator and now you're the coach. He's like, listen, I'm not a micromanager. I'm going to let my coordinators do their job. I was like, oh, okay, let's take shots at Sean McDermott. Got it. Listen, it is what it is. I'm I don't like micromanaging. That was one of the military. That was one of the lessons in the military I learned. Had a just made just got promoted to sergeant. I had we were coming back from a field exercise and my E7 came over to me. He gave me like 4 different tasks to get done in the same amount of time. And I'm like, I'm running around like an idiot for like 2 hours trying to figure it out. And he's like, pulls me to the side. I was like, 2 hours. He's like, you tired, ain't you? Like, yeah, I'm tired. So he's like, yeah, because you trying to do everything yourself. So no, you got to delegate. That's what you got people for. You delegate. It doesn't make you less of a leader. It doesn't make you less of a soldier. It doesn't make you less of a coach to allow your coordinators, your other coaches, to do their job. That's what you hired them for. Why would you hire them if you're not going to use them? So I love that Brady's doing that. Um, let's continue to move down that lane. Let's continue that. And yeah, with that being said, man, I think let's just get ready for the combine. It starts tomorrow. I'm locked in. I'm gonna give you a couple of names. Uh, defensive line I'm paying attention to tomorrow. Akeem Messidor. Yeah, I'm on him. Paying attention to Akeem Messidor, defensive in Miami. Uh, Kendrick Falk. I think it's Kendrick or Kendall. Kendall Falk or Kendrick Falk. I can't remember off the top of my head. University of Florida, I want to say. Defensive end. Um, kind of built like he's a big dude, like 6'4", 6'5", long arms. Really like what we usually end up getting at defense on the edge. Good run defender. Not the greatest at getting after the passer, but he's young. So I mean he has that ability that he may develop um into one of those. So those are well, I'll be right back. Right. Step away for 2 seconds. I'll be right back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, man. That was like one of those. I don't know if anybody. I'm aging myself again. Anybody remember War of the Worlds? I know that movie with Tom Cruise. Yeah, well, before that, it was a book, right? And the book's written by H.G. Wells, and um, the story of that. Uh, story behind that book is like it was read over the radio, uh, and because it was over the radio, there were people that really thought, like, oh my God, Martians are invading the country and the country's under attack. Now, obviously, if you were, you know, did they mention any cities? I don't know. It's been years since I read the book, but anyway, it just kind of took me back to like one of those. We paused for a brief second, like radio would just go off, and they put or TV would just go off, and they put the little thing up or whatever. But anyway, back to defensive ends. I know y'all don't care. Um, Defensive tackles. Listen, they're big names like Lee Hunter, Caleb Banks, Peter Woods, things like that. Like Peter Woods and Caleb Banks, I think you know their draft stock really could shoot up or shoot down with how they perform um, during this combine. So if they have good, if they're good, they're gonna go in the first round, and they'll be gone before the Bills even sniff a selection. Um, but if not, those guys are in play at 26. Uh, my pick is Messidor. Another guy I like is Romello Height from a defensive is the edge guy. A little slight in frame, but I like his potential. I think he's a game wrecker. I think he has potential to really, really, really be special. Um, he's defensive end out of Texas A&M. Um, there's another really good defensive end in the NFL. A little later in his years, a little longer than two, but he came from the same program. And him and Romello Height are built pretty similarly. Um, so I don't think I'm not saying Romello Height is that guy, but if he developed like it wouldn't shock me if he turned into that. I think Messidor to me, I have Messidor as my um, top defensive end. Not because you know I think he's better than David Bailey or I actually do think he might be a little bit better than Beane. Bane's a little younger, less injured, can play, a little stronger, can play more positions. But I think I love the ceiling of Messidor. I love the floor of Messidor. Like I said, I think Messidor is the double digit sack guy. Buffalo. Year one, I think he's the double digit sack guy immediately. Um, you can hold me to that. You can come back to it or whatever. I don't care. That's where I'm at. I think he is that good. Uh, So those are the guys that I'll be watching. Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker. There's another linebacker too. What's he? Oklahoma? Kendall Daniels or something like that. I gotta bring my guy Jarek back up here and let him give you his list. He has a pretty good list of guys that he's paying attention to. So those is just a few guys, but I'll be paying attention to those guys. The linebackers. I'm looking for 40 times. I'm looking for shuttles. I'm looking for, how they move in these drills and things like that. And I'm also this year I'm also looking for strength. Like I need to see those bench press reps. Um, yeah, like bro, like you got to get in the 20s, man. Like I'm doing 225 10 times. You got to get into like you really gotta. Yeah, the network loves Casey. I mentioned Casey Concepcion already. Um, I liked him like the first time I started, really looking into the receivers. Um, he was the guy that jumped out the screen. Like him, Casey Concepcion, Chris Bell were my like that was my 1 and 2. Obviously Jordan Tyson. I think Jordan Tyson is the best receiver coming out. Argue with your mom. I don't care. You could be a Makai Lemon or Cardell Tate or whoever. Like you can say all of the whatever. Jordan Tyson, healthy. He's the best receiver in this draft. Uh, my 2 is, I thought my 2, like to me, like, I love Casey Concepcion. I think he was a good player. I kind of fell back on him because of the size concerns and things like that. But after getting some good information from some guys on the network, um, some tough love, appreciate it. Yo, like I had to change my stance. Like the guy is releasing from the boundary. I didn't know that. I didn't know it. Um, but yeah, he's and the route tree. I saw his chart for the route tree, like his route tree chart from this past year, where he runs every route. Like he's not he's not pigeonholed into like a gadget player or anything like that. Like the guy does everything. So yeah, like if we can get a guy like that, sure, like, I'd love that. I prefer defense earlier. I prefer to get that edge rusher though. I think this is a really good edge class, and I think the edges that are going to be available at the end of round 1 and round 2 are still going to be very good players. Another one, Joshua Joseph. I think it is Joshua Joseph from Tennessee. I like that kid. I like him a lot. Like I think he's going to be really good too. Uh, I haven't got fully into his tape. I'm probably going to after I get off of this, I'm going to go pull his tape up and watch some of it. But yeah, like he's a beast as well. So there's some guys. I mean, we'll talk safeties and corners and things like that later. But yeah, like defensive line, like let's pay attention. Demonte K Park. I don't know if he actually got an invite. I hope he did. I gotta check. That's another guy I'm looking at. Who else? Corleone, Dante Corleone, the nose tackle from Cincinnati. He's had some weight issues, but uh, I think because of some of the issues that he's had, he'd be available later on in the draft. And I think if you can get a guy like that in the 4th or 5th round, that's great value for the potential player that he can be, like what he had been, at a lower weight. But yeah, like I think, and also like you got Deion Walker. Like you going into the season with Walker and Oliver, TJ said like you don't need a full time um, guy to come in and you know take snaps away from those guys. But I do think you need a run stuffing defensive tackle to kind of occupy some space and allow those linebackers at the second level to come downhill and make plays. So you know, it's a chicken and egg thing. Like, what do you want first? I take the D tackle and trust the backers to come downhill and make plays. So that's where I'm at with that. But let's pay attention to the combine guys. Let's let's educate ourselves in preparation for this draft and get ready to see who lands where and keep your scorecard and who you like and you follow those guys, man. I tell you what, if it doesn't make you a better Bills fan, it's going to make you a tougher out in your fantasy football. So pay attention, folks. Like you can win some money off this stuff. if you play those pay for leagues. You can win some money off of them, man. Pay attention. Do your homework. Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Um, again, I like Lee Hunter. I think I'm paying attention to Corleone. Banks or Woods, either one of those guys is available. I think the Bills should jump all over that. I think those guys are potential difference makers. I think Lee Hunter is as well. I think Lee Hunter is going to be a better pro than he was a college player. I thought he was a really good college player, and getting, um, we missed on Travis Jones a couple years ago. We missed on um, Al Collins last year. Let's not keep missing. Okay, let's actually go out and put some beef up front. I know you got Deion Walker, but let's get more. Need more. We need to be able to stop the run. And I like that Coach Leonard talked about stopping the run. First and foremost, stop the run. You force teams to throw the football. I think we're one of the better coverage teams in the league. Let's stop the run. So get guys that can do that. Who else? Mitch Romello Height, Falk. I love Messidor, Joseph. Um, there's another guy. His name is escaping me. The defensive one. Nothing escaping me right now. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. Sorry. I did talk about Cape Hart. Um, Grayson Holton. Grayson Holton. I like that guy. Like, I mean, he's 295, but he plays like he's 330. So that's another guy. Oklahoma kid. Paying attention to him. Linebackers talk about J. Rod, Daniels. I'm not really big on big Sonny Styles guy, but we're nowhere close to being able to land him. So I mean, Red Murdoch's out there, the UB kid, Jay Sean Barham from Michigan. He's another kid that's probably gonna be the outside linebacker. I got Romello Height, who to me is more of a outside linebacker than he is the edge. That'd be interesting to see where they're whatever. They're all gonna be there at the same time. So but it's gonna be interesting to see where some of these guys end up and how they test. So I'm definitely paying attention to that. We gotta have speed on the edge. We haven't had speed on the edge since Gary Hughes, Von Miller. Von Miller was like 74 when he got to us. So we haven't had speed like that. We don't have it a lot. So let's go out and get it. I think that would complement well with the interior push that we will have this year with a healthy Ed Oliver and Deion Walker, TJ Sand, and the rest of those guys. And Rousseau plays some more inside. So let's do that. What else? What else? What else? What else do I have written down? It's it, guys. Yeah. So that's it, man. Shout out to y'all for hanging out this entire time. If you made it this far, um, you know, so the usual, like and subscribe. I don't know off top if the network is doing anything combine related. Not sure. Wait a second. No, I don't see anything. And if we are, I mean, I'm sure something will get put out. Yeah. Oh, Trey Amos. Don't remind me, bro. Ooh, Trey Amos. Imagine if we would have got Trey Amos. We'd have double dipped the corner. Oh, right there. One in first and second round. Oh, we wouldn't have had TJ Sanders. Oh, like, we really could have had Trey Amos, Omar Norman Lott, and what's old boy name? Maxwell Harrison. Man, we'd have been cooking with that, bro. Man. Anyway, it is what it is. All right, so that's all I got, folks. Man, I appreciate y'all if y'all stuck around this long. Like and subscribe. Uh, if you don't like what you're seeing, then tell somebody you don't like to watch it. I kind of stole that, but hey man, shout out to my guy Pro Ed, man. That's a good line. But yeah, like if you want to continue to listen to us talk about the Bills, like we will do that. We'll continue to do that on this network, and we'll continue to you know put out content. If it's good or bad, it's up to you. Then you keep paying attention, and it's good. If it's y'all stop watching, then I don't know. Then we suck. But no, appreciate everybody. We appreciate the support. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. If you are dealing with the snow, I feel for you. Uh, I hate snow now. Um, it snowed like uh, it snowed a lot last week, and then Monday we got hit bad again. And I made it up in my mind on Monday or Tuesday. Excuse me. I'm not doing this no more. I'm buying a snowblower ASAP. Never getting hit like this again. I'm sorry. Too old to be out there shoveling, and I'm not finna keep paying these young boys $50 to come and shovel my stuff out. So getting a snowblower, it is what it is, and we'll move from there. I'm gonna take care of the block. We're gonna make sure that nobody overworks themselves going forward on my street. We're gonna take care of business. Uh, but yeah, I'm sick of this snow, dog. I'm tired of it. Promise you I am. Um, God, please send the sun and some warm weather, man, to get this white stuff out of here, man. And we supposed to get more snow like Friday, so damn. Listen. I'm outside this summer, man. I have to be. Um, it's too many. It's too many godlike signs. Like it's a terrible winter. Um, Ti dropped a new song. It's crazy. Him and 50 got beef, so hopefully it stays on wax and they keep dropping good records. And I'm gonna be outside for all this because LMA got a new record out too. What? Man, listen, this is gonna be a good summer. I got a feel. Spring and summer, looking forward to it. Ti putting out good music, and yeah, like let's go. I'm looking for 50 to respond. He better bring banks though. Ti not playing with him. But anyway, that's enough of that. Um, Shout out to everybody that's listening and paying attention. Let me go check on this parlay because the Celtics are playing Denver, the Denver Nuggets right now. So we're gonna check on that parlay before we go to bed, man. Y'all have a good night, man. Appreciate y'all as always. Go Bills. We out. We out. We out. We out.